as our market's grown in an explosive way, I think it's pointed out certain weak points. And the question is going to become, why are they staying here? As Austin, as an example, softens and it gets a little less expensive there, and things kind of flatten out for them, or even smaller markets, right? Like Charleston and Savannah are like healthy, growing, smaller markets. We might lose businesses going back or looking at smaller markets as things maybe are too expensive. It's very expensive to operate here and to live here according to what people can make here, right? There is that large discrepancy. I think that's going to be talked about more, how we keep businesses here, how we sustain this growth that we have. That was something we spoke about yesterday, and you mentioned it, so I wanted to bring it up. I would assume we'll start to see some headlines. I hope we don't. I hope there's not a mass exodus, but I can just sense this feeling of, hey, yes, we had this incredible period of growth, but as the national economies softened up, how is that going to affect the new people that have moved here, right? Like if you're like I met a guy, I said this in the last podcast, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but I met a guy that worked for Google. He was from California. His wife was from Tampa. During the pandemic, they moved back from California here. He was still working remote for Google. Well, if things soften up in California and get better, and now they're not locked down anymore, and as whatever crises they're going through get better, they might move back. So it's like, how many people would move back?
I mean, I think it is. I mean, the question is, when I moved here from Boston, I lived on, Commonwealth Avenue in a brownstone, and, paid at that point, it was $2,800 a month. This is 2006, and had a roommate. And I was just like, I moved here, affordability, space.
Yeah.
I had a 1950s, like 2-bedroom, 2-bath on St. Pete Beach, and it was $1,400 a month. I'm like, this is fantastic. But, I think now if you're moving here for cost savings, right? Or you're coming here because you're like, I want to live on the water. Well, no.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that does, and it's funny, you were with Roger yesterday, but I was having breakfast with him yesterday. We were talking about the same thing, but it is.
Oh, well, that explains it.
It's funny, but it puts I think it puts the focus, or it should turn our focus on making sure, well, if it's not cost savings that people are living here, right? Mm-hmm. And there no longer is that to offer, then world-class amenities, world-class aquarium, the Straz, the zoo. Like, I love Charlotte. Charlotte's a fantastic place. No zoo. Right, I've got kids. No aquarium. I've got kids. Like, these matter.
And we're like, you and I will live here regardless of these national changes. Yeah. Like, there's another COVID and 1 million more people move here. Well, that's not good for us.
Yeah, I think it changes. Like, it changes what do we expect of ourselves to deliver to folks that are moving here. I think, if you come here with the expectation that you're going to live, in Water Street, mm-hmm. and that is the world that you're moving to Tampa for, well, or maybe you start looking, it's like, well, Carrollwood develops as a really great, as a great neighborhood, or, Safety Harbor, or St. Pete, or, the Heights. But, I think Pinellas Park, like, you don't have to live in the, kind of plan A spot where everybody's moving to.
Yeah.
So what happens with us with, kind of the neighborhoods and folks being able to kind of build their own?
How does it all settle out, right? Like, yeah. I think that's what, over the next couple of years, we'll start to see how that all happens. And then also the question of, like you said, why have people historically came here? And then why did people come here during the surge of the last few years? Yeah. Was it because where they came from was so bad that drove them out of that market and into this one? Or was it our market, for whatever reason, was so appealing that it pulled them to us, right? Like, I think those questions will be answered in some of the data that comes out on all these migration patterns, over the next few years. Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.